Welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast, your number one opinion source for all things entertainment. Join host Marco Mazzola as he sounds off on the latest movies, TV, music, gaming, comic books, and more. Now, here's the man of the hour, Marco Mazzola.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to the Entertainment Rants Podcast. I am, as always, your host, Marco Mazzola, and I have with me on the line Marie Brownhill from the Trekker's Delight Podcast. Hello, Marie.
Hello.
A fan favorite that is Marie. How are you?
I don't know about a fan favorite, but I certainly enjoy coming back.
Good. I'm good. I'm good. Busy as all hell, but you know what? Life's good. Can't blame, you know.
It could be worse. You could be bored.
I could be bored. Never a dull moment. Never bored. I actually got to take a day off from work yesterday, which is, very few and far between. In fact, I don't think I have another one until at least the end of May. I think it's the next weekend, other than Easter. I don't have literally a Saturday or Sunday off. We literally have parent night outs and birthday parties up the wazoo for the next 2 months. April and May is jammed. So what happened was we had a lot of donations that we gave prior to the pandemic to schools or organizations that are looking for some. And so a lot of companies, martial arts schools, give away a month of karate or we don't do that. We learned a different way to do it a long time ago, which was give away a premium birthday party, because you a parent has kids who might not want to take karate, so that's a hard sell at let's say an auction or donation. But every parent has a kid that has a birthday. Your parent has a kid, has a birthday. So they all want a birthday party. And we give it's a $550 birthday party for free. We have different types of Star Wars. Everybody gets a lightsaber or dodgeball or Nerf. We have different party packages. And we literally do everything. Cake, pizza, decorations, setup, cleanup. And we run the party. It's not just, hey, come into space and jump around. We literally run an event where we organize the games and the kids are playing. It's from the moment they jump in the door, they're playing games, solid games that we're organized and we do with them. And then they go right into the pizza. They cut the cake with the sword, of course, because it's a martial arts school. And then we do free cotton candy that we make on the way out. We have 22 flavors of cotton candy. Yeah, it's insane. For $550 is our highest end one, with the Star Wars one, because everybody gets to take home their lightsaber. So it's pretty cool.
Bananas.
It's insane. It's a premium party that nobody else around here does. So we give them away as donations in schools and whatever. They love that because they really sell well. But of course, there was a pandemic for 2 years. Nobody could use them. So now everybody's feeling like, okay, we can get back out, and they're all coming to roost. Hey, we won that party 2 years ago. So half of the ones we have coming up are paid, and the other half are not. So
it's not really working out.
It didn't work out quite as much as we thought, but you know what? It's still a great time.
I'm listening to this going can you cater my party? Because
right, it's pretty awesome. We have parents ask that sometimes too. Can we do a party here for me? It's pretty awesome. But it's one of those deals where we make some money on the party. We do profit on the parties that we sell, if you will. Obviously not the free ones, but we profit. But the point is, I could give you a month of karate, and maybe your kid wants to come in, maybe they don't, maybe they want to sign up, or I can get 15 to 16 of your friends in at a party. And now I got 16 kids to sell potential, come back for a free class or come back for one of our free parent night outs. And, you run those relationships. So instead of one person, we got 16. So your numbers are a lot better that way. So it works out for us.
That's a legit marketing strategy, my dude.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, that's what's going on around here. But today,
and Easter doesn't really count, of course, as a day off.
No, it doesn't. There's gonna be all the running around, different, to the families and everything like that. It's the 7 Easters.
My God. I need to start buying beets now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's insane. So we don't know. I mean, my son's not quite 2 yet. I don't think that we'll be doing the eggs this year. I think eggs will probably start next year or something like that. I don't really know. He'll be 2 in July.
I will say this. For the boys' first Easter, we ended up with these great they're plastic eggs. They come in a plastic egg carton, and they've got numbers and shapes, and you match them.
Yes. So I'm sorry. What I meant is coloring eggs.
Loved that.
Getting the paws, coloring stuff. I remember fondly coloring eggs my whole life, and up until 2 years ago. I really love coloring eggs, and I always have. Even as an adult, I would go over to my mother's house, and we kept the tradition alive well into adulthood. As I had niece and nephew and whatever. But now that Christian's almost 2, we're gonna figure out when we're gonna start that up again with him. Getting over there.
So 3.5. So I think I think this year we're gonna start with the eggs.
Yeah, we're start doing the coloring. Yeah, it's just one of my favorite times of year.
Like maybe we can even talk one of the kids to eating an egg.
They're not egg people?
They're not food people. I've got one that I swear to God, I think he lives on like bathwater and air, and that's
lovely.
The other one, however, will eat anything that you put in front of him.
Yeah. My son's like that now. He must be going through a growth spurt because he's really long. He's like, last check when this was months ago, he was 34 inches. And he's got to be more than that now. And he's long and he's thin, but he is insatiable. Like multiple squeezed thing yogurts, plus a banana, plus a jar of fruit. I mean, plus a bar. I'm like, where is this kid putting it?
I don't know.
And just this happened like recently in the last couple of weeks.
Oh my God! Like those little applesauce pouches, man.
Yeah.
We go through his Matthew goes through his weight in those.
Yeah.
Like I could look at them and gain 50 pounds. Like
well, that's what I say. I say the same thing. I could look at a piece of chocolate cake and gain a pound. I don't know to touch it. So I try not to.
I mean, I inhale it in their calories and your brain.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, that's what's going on with us. He said Easter's coming up, but other than that, it's parent night outs and birthday parties. So it's gonna be pretty busy. It's crazy. So today we're gonna talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. This is absolutely my top 10, The Princess Bride.
It's everybody's top 10, and if
it better be, unless you haven't seen it, and even if you haven't seen it, it should still be in your top 10. But
I mean, who hasn't seen this movie by this point? Like
you know what? You'd be surprised. There's still some people who haven't. I know, but I'm 46, so I'm like definitely at that ripe age of like, what the hell do you mean you haven't seen it? Oh crap, that's right. You weren't even born yet. You were born in 2000. Son of a bitch. You know what I mean? Like Mila.
Oh my God, can we just
love Mila to pieces, but she's born in 2001?
Can we not?
She's seen it. She's actually gone back and seen movies like that, but for the most part, I've run into a lot of people like, no, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that it hurts my heart. It hurts my heart to no end.
But this is one of those movies, I think, that has literally entered into like our consciousness, right? Like there's Star Wars, there's Star Trek, and I also think Princess Bride is up there because I
would like to think so. It was in 80. It was done in 80. It came out in 87. It wasn't done in 80. It came out in 87. Yeah. And I remember it took me I watched it back then in 87. I was 11. So I probably saw it at the theaters. But I had no idea who any of these people were, of course. I had seen All in the Family. I watched it a lot, because back then you did. But I had no idea that it was, it was Rob Reiner that actually directed this movie and connected him to Meathead, right?
Right.
That took a long time. I was probably in my 20s when I realized that.
Oh my God!
Same person.
Christopher Guest. You see him everywhere, and you just don't really attach him to say Count, right? Like, you just don't.
No, not at all. So let's do the trailer. I love to watch trailers. So let's share and watch the trailer because we did this earlier today. We were recording since 10 o'clock this morning, and we watched the Die Hard trailer. And another one, it's like, oh boy, the Die Hard one was fun because it had that, in a world where like that whole voiceover that you just don't get anymore. It's like, wow, this is an 80s trailer. So I'm guessing this is going to be the same thing. And I haven't watched it yet. I just pulled it up, but I wanted to be, I wanted to go through this with you.
The trailer.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched it either. Maybe when I was a kid, if it was on TV, but I obviously wouldn't remember that. I was 11. So I did, but I purposely didn't watch this today. I just pulled it up on my computer, but I wanted to go through this with you first time together. All right, let's do it.
Let's do this.
Let's do this. Let's share the screen. Let's go Chrome tab. Here we are. Share. All right. Can you see that okay?
I can, yeah.
All right.
Hello, Wallace Shawn. I love it's Wallace Shawn movie. Like,
yep.
He's in like not even half the film.
Cheek, I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey,
Peter
I
Falk.
was just sick. Huh? I brought you a special present.
What is it?
It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
It was a time when life didn't seem so complicated.
Marriage is what brings us together today.
What?
What?
I'm killing myself once we reach the honeymoon suite.
A courtly age of gentle conversation.
I will always come for you.
But how can you be sure?
This is true love.
Oh no. Is this a kissing book?
No. Actually, there was a lot of treachery, peril, and revenge.
Prepare to die.
Never go in against the Sicilian when death is on the line.
There were affairs of state.
I've got my country's 500th anniversary to plan, my wedding to arrange, my wife to murder, and Gilda to frame for it. I'm swamped.
And affairs of the heart.
My Wesley will always come for me.
Your Wesley is dead.
I've seen worse.
Bye-bye, boy. Have fun storming the castle.
It's more than 30. What's the difference? We got him.
Think it'll work?
It could take a miracle.
Goodbye.
It's a story of love. A tale of adventure. It's as real as the feelings you feel.
We're kissing again.
Someday you may not mind so much.
The Princess Bride. Not just your basic, average, everyday, ordinary, run-of-the-mill, ho-hum fairy tale.
And there it is.
That's a terrible trailer, by the way.
It really is not a great trailer.
That was awful. How did anybody go see this movie after watching
I don't
that?
know. But it was 87. Yeah, I mean, our standards are definitely different nowadays.
Right, but you literally, like, you were talking about Die Hard, right? Like, I mean, when did Die Hard come out?
85? I think it was 85, like 80. Is it 89? It was up there. It's in the mid 80s. No, 88. I'm sorry, I just talked about it.
Right, like the very next year.
But it's more of the same. It's that we have the voiceover has to tell you the movie instead of just watching the trailer. Like, we watched the Batman trailer today. There's no voiceover. It's just you get to see what's going on in the movie, and the trailer tells you the movie by the scenes you're watching. So they're way more crafted as a trailer. Before it's just like, here's some shots of the movie and somebody telling you what's happening. And that's the 80s. That was the 80s.
That's terrible.
I mean, by today's standards, yes. I don't know about 87 standards. I think that was just pretty much more of the same. Like, that was a standard cookie cutter trailer for the 80s, and we just didn't expect as much. It does sort of remind me
about Jumpin' Jack Flash, but even then, that was a much more interesting trailer, I think.
It was a more interesting trailer, but that was, a more action-packed movie, oddly enough. Right. But the intrigue and the whole spy stuff. But again, a voiceover telling you.
Are you saying the battle with the ROUS was not action-packed?
Not as much action-packed, but still great. Big dude in a rat suit.
I know, right? Let's give a sort of drunk? Like, didn't they have to go bail the rat suit guy out of jail?
Yeah, I think there was some. I have to look it up. I know there's some fact stuff I have to look up on this show. I did. So let's quickly the synopsis, or one of the synopses. Well, homesick in bed, a young boy's grandfather reads him the story of a farm boy turned pirate who encounters numerous obstacles, enemies, and allies in his quest to be reunited with his true love. Not a bad synopsis, I suppose. Directed by Rob Reiner, written by William Goldman, starring Cary Elwes, Mandy Patinkin, Robin Wright. You have Chris Sarandon, as we said, Christopher Guest, Wallace Shawn, Andre the Giant, a young Fred Savage, Peter Falk as the grandfather, Peter Cook, the impressive crew. I mean, with some great guest stars like Billy Crystal and Carol Kane. I mean, and it goes on and on and on. Mel Smith plays the albino. Just a long list. The king is hysterical. He's just completely out of it. I'm going to kill myself. Won't that be nice? I know, right? Completely out of it.
As soon as we reach the wedding chamber, I'm going to kill myself. And then, of course, you get that great line. There's a shortage of perfect breasts.
It would be a shame to
it would be terrible to ruin yours. Yeah.
And it is. So this movie it does have action. It does have, love story, and won an Oscar for the song, for the storybook Love.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just looked it up today. Yeah, they won an Oscar. So I looked up the nominations and things. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool.
It was just such a weird. I mean, it is such a weird movie when you're trying to sit down and explain The Princess Bride, because none of that actually encompasses the experience of this film.
Yeah, it is a weird kind of you have to understand what's happening even from the jump, where he's reading him a story by S. Morgenstern, who was not real. He was like a pen name, but he was Goldsmiths, and he actually wrote the whole story. Now, he didn't just write The Princess Bride; he wrote the whole story, including the grandfather and the grandson and all that stuff. Have you read the book? I read the book. I
have, yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And what I like about
it, because you would literally flip it over, and I was very young when I read this book. By the way, probably shouldn't have, because it literally is the most beautiful princess in the world is set to marry the most handsome prince in the world, and he happens to be a son of a bitch, and and that's literally the line on the back of the book. And I'm taking it to grade school, and my teacher's like, "Yeah, maybe don't."
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe don't.
Maybe we don't read that one out loud. That's not your show and tell book today. No. But I liked it. And in the book, you get the background on Fezzik, and you get the background on Inigo Montoya as well. You get the whole chapter just on them.
All those phenomenal footnotes too. I mean, it's almost Terry Pratchett-esque, actually. You'll be like, and S. Morgenstern, blah 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 blah, or my father actually changed this because he wanted me to think of this as being like an actual happy ending, blah blah blah. And it's just. They were so fantastic and just added just this horrible snark to the rest of the story.
Yes.
And it's already a ridiculously over-the-top story, which is the point, right? Because it's
absolutely
some of those tropes.
Yes, absolutely. So let's talk about some of those. What are some of that stand out and glare at you?
Oh my God, really? Oh. Poor and perfect. Everything from the initial character of Wesley, right? He's this farm boy. He says one thing, which is "as you wish," and then snotty Buttercup, because yes, her name is Buttercup. But yes, go with me. Snotty Buttercup is just a complete and utter tool to this man, and he falls in love with her anyway, and then he goes off and to seek his fortune on the high seas. I guess he's going to America. I remember in the book there's a whole page about the fact that he's wearing jeans and how jeans are older than we think they are. And again, I haven't read this book since I was in grade school, and this is how much has stuck with me, right? And so he goes off, and then he dies, and she just grieves. I mean, just this the whole, all of that, right? This kind of star-crossed lover. We've got we have pirates, sort of.
Kind of. Yeah.
We've got a revenge plot. We have Mandy Patinkin doing, I'm not sure what accent, I gotta tell you, but will forever love Inigo Montoya.
He's playing. It's supposed to be the Spaniard. So it's supposed to be like that.
Right. That's the operative word here.
Yeah.
That's the operative word. And they give him that wig, which is just amazing.
Yes.
It's just amazing. Oh my gosh.
It flares out. Yeah.
Oh,
the A-shape type. Yeah.
Oh, there's just it's just so great. And then Chris Sarandon as this just completely awful prince who's trying to start a war for reasons we're not super sure about, really. Theoretically he wants to take over Gilder, but there's no guarantee that that's gonna work.
Right.
And frankly, nobody gives a shit anyway, because that's not the point.
No, because it's not really not the point, but it's just a Z story within the movie, right? It's not even a C or a D.
So I gotta say, I saw this for the first time. I caught it midway through, because I gotta tell you, I don't think I would have if it had started with that Peter Falk intro. I don't know that grade school Marie would have sat down and actually listened to it. But I caught it after the Cliffs of Despair.
Okay.
Which is also a thing in this movie. The place names are amazing.
Yes. That was really good. I was reading a fact that there's some parts during shooting that it was so cold, Robin Wright was really, really cold, and Andre would just put his hand on her head because his hand completely envelops her head size just to warm her up. It's pretty sick. It's pretty crazy.
Right? Because he's huge. And you really don't get a good sense of that until you meet Mandy Patinkin in person, and who is not a short man.
Right.
He's not a short man. And then you look, and Andre the Giant is literally a giant. He towers over everybody.
Yes.
In this movie.
Yes. Yeah.
And Fezzik's just such a great character too.
He is. I thought the idea of him, and you get, like I said, the book, you get a little bit more backstory. You get sort of the whole Greenland part where he came from and all the fighting he did and how he learned to fight multiple people, because it is very different than fighting one person at a time.
Right.
And
so he's completely forgotten how to do it.
Yes.
Which is, of course,
he becomes, even in the book, he's even more sympathetic than he is in the movie, and you're pretty sympathetic to him in the movie. You know what I mean? And pretty quickly too. Like, even though at the beginning he's, one of
my favorite scenes, bar none, is when he's sobering up Inigo.
Yes. And keeps dunking him. And keeps dunking him in the different vats of water. He's like, that's enough. That's enough.
I'm back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, and there's a great quote from Mandy Patinkin, said, like, really the only injury he ever accrued on the set, even after all the fight scenes and everything like that, was literally a bruised rib while trying to contain his laughter during the scene with Billy Crystal. When they're in there, because he's supposed to be serious, and Billy Crystal's just riffing and doing some ad-libbing and things like that, and just even his delivery of the written lines are so magnificent. He's trying not to laugh.
You think it'll work?
And it'll take a miracle. And it is wrought with one-liners and quotable lines, and it is.
I mean, we did Spaceballs before, and Spaceballs is a pretty quotable movie, but like it does not hold a candle.
Yes.
To this, like to The Princess Bride, and it's, for people of our generation,
sure.
Like, odds are, like, if you start a line from The Princess Bride, they're gonna finish it.
Yes, somebody else will finish it. Absolutely, somebody else will finish it.
It's just that much.
Or correct you if you're doing it wrong. Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody's gonna be like, Marie, why don't you remember exactly what that said?
Exactly. They get pissy about it because it's such a well-loved movie.
Oh my god! I mean,
I didn't know there was a test.
It is just nuts. Like,
and then the same thing with Rob Reiner. He actually had to leave the set while they were directing Billy Crystal's scenes because he kept laughing off camera.
Right, and
he kept ruining the takes. Yeah. He had to walk away a few times and just let them play it out.
And I want to say they made this on a shoestring budget.
I don't think it wasn't given a lot, because I don't think it was meant. I
don't think it was Evil Dead level of shoestring, but because that is forever my bottom bin, my bar for that. But it was not extensive, and nobody really in that movie at that point was a big name. Really,
no. I mean, other than Billy Crystal.
Other than Billy Crystal and Carol Kane. Carol Kane had a pretty rich.
Well, that's what the cameos were kind of about. Those were really your bigger actors and whatnot. You know what I mean?
And how that happened, I don't even know, but it was amazing, and I'm super.
So the budget was estimated about $16 million for this movie,
which is crazy.
Yeah. Worldwide, it grossed about $30 million back at the time. So it made its money, which is good.
It did. And nobody expected it to.
Not at all. And then, of course, it became basically a cult favorite. You know what I mean? And just gone through generation. Like we were talking about before, generation through generation of people have just seen and loved this movie, even though it's a movie from the 80s. It is timeless. Not just because it's always set in a different time period, so who cares? It doesn't scream 80s. It doesn't scream 90s.
But there's something about it, because there are a couple of films that really manage to skate that feel, right? One of them is Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk feels sort of timeless. It doesn't make any sense, but it feels timeless.
Yeah.
But compare that, say, with the Kevin Costner Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Which is very much a product of its time.
Mm-hmm.
Very much a product of the time. I mean, not just with the fact that Costner's hair is straight out of the 90s, but go with me.
Yes. He's got that what is it called? That wave, that flare, that.
Oh God! And then of course you get Christian Slater, who is just categorically able to date a movie as soon as he walks on. And don't get me wrong, I love Christian Slater, right? Cuffs is possibly one of my favorite movies.
Yeah,
love that film. It's terrible, but I love it.
Yeah, you love it. You hate to love it, but you love to hate it. It's all at the same time.
Right? But yeah, and then you get this, and there's no sense. Everything feels extremely encapsulated, even though so much of the film is shot outside, so they didn't have to worry about props, so that they could keep costs down.
Yes. Yeah, but the sets are, some of them look like a set, but it's still wonderful. right? Like even the castle, like some of them just seems like, those are obviously movie bricks and stones that are made to this castle, but you know what I mean? But it looks, it doesn't look, Game of Thrones, how they made the castles. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very perfectly tan bricks, color that they never come in.
Been painted, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, that's not real stone.
Right. But still wonderful to watch.
And it's one of those movies that I think, what it does, and I can't even tell you why, but it really encourages your buy-in in a way that so few other films really do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why. And I think that's why
you buy into the love story like that. Obviously, the main portion of this whole thing is it's a love story, right, between the two of them. And how do you feel about the love story and how it comes about between the two of them? Did it seem a little, not forced but tropey?
That's the point, right? Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be contrived. It's supposed to be contrived in the same way that, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, all of these incredibly unhealthy fairy tales that we all grew up on.
Right. Because it's like the premise of the whole point is it's supposed to be this old book, read to the grandson because the grandfather, read it to his son and now he's reading it to his grandson.
Right. And I love the moments where it's just like it'll stop and then it'll flash back to
we're back in the bedroom. Yeah.
Like to remind you about the framing story.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, I mean, I think my favorite is she doesn't die here. You looked worried.
Yes. No, I wasn't worried. Well, you looked worried. I just want to let you know. You looked worried.
And Fred
Savage stop now. He's like, no, you could read a little bit more.
Fred Savage is perfect here.
Yes. Like, and I love Peter Falk. Like, I'm a huge Peter Falk fan. I've loved him. Like we're growing up, my dad obviously controlled the TV when we were around, so we watched a lot of Columbo.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Columbo. One more thing. He was classy with the one eye going off from the rails, taking off on you. Yeah, the bumbling detective who always he knew who he was talking to. He already had it figured out, but he just wanted to torture the person.
Yeah.
Like just berating them with questions.
Yes.
To make them trip themselves
with that terrible trench coat. Yeah, and what's crazy about it is like, and you look at Peter Falk in this film, and they literally spray painted his hair.
Yep.
And it looks like they spray painted his hair.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like high school theater level.
Yeah, this is not even like Rumpel sprayed on hair with the bald patch.
It's just god, but and just the way he interacts with Fred Savage was also fantastic.
Yes, and you get the whole grandfather grandson portion of it. You know what I mean? Like it really feels family on that. To me, it felt like family in that way.
The whole he's going to pinch my cheek, it's going to suck. Yep. And then sure enough, I don't know of any of it. I mean, carrying that off would have been extraordinarily hard. And somehow they manage. And, mad props to them for that.
Yes.
And it's crazy because I had to do a double take. I'm not going to lie. Do you remember when, it was the Kevin Spacey president thing? House of Cards.
Yes.
When House of Cards came on, I didn't initially put his wife with Buttercup.
Yes.
Robin Wright Penn.
Yes. She seems so different now, right? She's obviously in the Wonder Woman movies, and which is again, it's a very different version of her. Like super able to I played Princess Buttercup with very specific character, and now I'm somebody very, very different. And can that chameleon of
retired for a while.
Yeah.
Like after the whole business with Sean Penn.
Yeah. She did, which is sad. I would like to have seen more from her. I think she's really good.
Yeah, but I'm really loving what she's bringing to the screen now, because it's very much it's very empowering, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, she's choosing these characters very carefully, I think, to basically, it's a middle finger to a certain segment of Hollywood.
Yes, agreed. That deserves.
And I low key stand that business because it's just fantastic, right? Like, right. But then here she is, very, very young. Like everybody is very, very young, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Carrie Elways, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know really what he did
prior to it or
after.
After.
I mean, I know he had a brief stint in what was it, the Saw movies?
So he did the Saw movies, Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was.
He's he's got a pretty decent IMDb
Unlike
list.
other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my favorite lines in that whole thing. What a slap in the face. But yeah, I mean, he's done it. But he was, in a few episodes of Psych. He played a recurring character, like a French art thief.
Right.
And
as I recall, that was the least convincing French I've ever seen.
Oh God, yeah. I
mean, shy, and this is going to sound like sacrilege, but shy of Patrick Stewart.
Yes. No. You would love Harper on him and his French. Good Lord, that's awesome. Yeah, he was in it's a little painful on the ears, but he's been in other stuff. With Bram Stoker's Dracula. He was in Twister. Remember, he was their rival.
No, I don't. I don't remember that at all.
Oh yeah, he was the guy who kind of had all the money. He was the other guy chasing tornadoes, but he had like all the tech and money behind him with all the the truck. That was him. He was in Liar Liar. He played the new father. Like, the claw's gonna get you. I got the claw. Like, he was, he was the new father, the stepdad.
Damn.
Or supposed to be, and then he was supposed to get the job in Boston at the hospital, and they were gonna go. And so he's had a few now. And again, like you said, the Saw movies. I actually saw him years ago. We went. We went to see was the Wang or one of the Wilbur in Boston. He was there. They did A Princess Bride, and then they had the Q&A with him afterwards. And that was
great.
Oh, that was awesome. That was really fun.
He seems to have a really great sense of humor about the film. Like, I know.
Yeah. Oh no, they loved it. Like, they loved making this movie. Like, you could really hear the passion when you hear any of them talking about this movie, especially him and Robin and Mandy. Mandy Patinkin still thinks this is one of his greatest, most fun roles and greatest parts that he's ever played.
And he will do the speech, like, in cabs and stuff.
Yeah, because it gets yelled at him like 17 times a day, I'm sure.
Right.
So, at some point it's either like, drive yourself crazy or lean into it. You know what I mean? And just, you might as well lean into it. And like, I know there's a lot of actors, and we talked about this before on the show, people like Alec Guinness, who got pissy about the fact that he was known as Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan. Yeah, but generations of people know you that would not have known you.
Right.
You're a classic trained theater actor. You've done a lot of great stuff. But if you weren't in Star Wars, I would no idea who you were.
Well, Patrick Stewart, right? Like, I mean, Patrick Stewart's stint on Star Trek, like, springboarded into a whole number of things, right?
But he leans into it, and he seems to really love it. You know what I mean?
While. It took him a pretty good, 2-3 years.
Exactly. But that's not bad. Alec Guinness hated it till the end.
Right.
He was pissy about it till the day he died. Patrick Stewart eventually said, like, oh, you know what? This is my career. This is what's making me not only money but fame and make me able to enjoy my life.
Man, literally came back to do this 3-season new series on Paramount.
And he pokes fun at himself, right? He's on Family Guy or American Dad. But you know what I mean? He's pokes fun at his own personality, if you will. Though that commercial, we talked about this before, when he's the alcohol commercial, when he's like hiding behind, they're like, oh, you can see you. No, you can't. You know what I mean? Like, things like that. Like, who does that? He's just clearly he's totally down with it, and I think that's a wonderful way to be, because at the end of the day, it is what makes your career.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Just, Alec Guinness, after he did all the things he was doing, what career did he have after Star Wars? Star Wars. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that was pretty much the biggest thing. Out of all the wonderful things he did in his career, Star Wars was the biggest thing he's ever done. And he'll be the most known for it. So you're upset about that? You know how many people don't ever get known for anything? And I'm not just talking about, like, in Hollywood.
Yeah, but I can also see, I mean, it literally destroyed that kid, right? Like, from The Phantom Menace.
Jake Lloyd?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I mean, I can see how, like, it's going to go one of two ways, right? Like,
yeah. But that wasn't Jake's fault, really. The movie was just shit. You know what I mean? He just got trapped into a bad movie, so that can suck. But Alec Guinness didn't. He's very well known and well loved for his role in a great movie.
But my point is like when you get to one of these things and one of these projects, you don't necessarily go into it knowing that this is going to
you don't
like everything for you.
No,
and then
you don't.
You get out of it and you're like, okay, I want to go do other things. Like that's kind of some of the stuff that's faced, like Daniel Radcliffe and those groups, right? Like the Joffrey kid, right? Speaking of Game of Thrones, like the kid who played Joffrey is just like, yeah, no, I can't act anymore because like everybody hates my guts. Which fair play. Joffrey's a terrible character.
Yeah, I mean, I think at some point he could. He
basically was like, yeah, peace, love, and rockets. I mean, he got so much hate that he's just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna go and do other stuff now.
You work on my cousin's cleaners then, so what I'm gonna do, which is sad, and it's true because obviously fans can take it to that whole other horrible level. Of
so I can sort of see, right, like how this could be an incredibly traumatizing experience, right?
Sure.
Like, I mean, I think if everybody had gone, like, assuming these podcasts make it big, like somebody starts screaming stuff that I've said back at what I'm gonna do,
right?
Like,
I'll lean into it. I don't care.
I mean, this is my shocked face, right?
This is it.
This is my shocked face that nobody's gonna be able to see, but trust me, it looks very, very shocked.
Yes. Sorry. Oh my God. Eyebrows are almost on the back of your head.
So yeah, like so back to this. What do you love? Like what is it about this film that keeps bringing you back?
For me, the adventure portion of it, obviously I love the love story. I think it's wonderful. The song Storybook Love. I don't know how many mixtapes I put that on. Back in the day. Yes, kids. We had cassettes, and you could make a mix out of them and rewind them.
Nobody does that anymore. They send you.
I know, not even CDs.
Spotify playlist, and
that's what it is. That's the new mixtape. Is a Spotify playlist. That's what it is. Right, so much quicker, so much easier. You just sit there and record from one deck to the next. Well, that's it. There's just no effort anymore. It's definitely not. It came too easy. But yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. But the pirate portion of it, the sword fighting. Being a martial, I love the sword fight scenes.
Which are pretty legit, actually.
Oh yeah. No, they totally are. I mean, like, there's some of the top guys in Hollywood did the sword fighting choreography.
Who does fencing, right? Like he's on the European circuit, and he would literally we were watching this film, and he's like, "That's a real thing."
Yeah,
that's a real thing. That's a real thing.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, this was not sort of homegrown. I mean, they had like some of the top guys who do fight choreography who are really amazing at it. Do the work, and they were like the guys who are actually doing it. For some of the when you couldn't see their close up face. The long shots and things like that. It was not the obviously it wasn't the actors doing it.
That wasn't actually Cary Elwes.
Just not
because they're terribly comfortable.
It wasn't that convenient. He's in a mask, so you can put anybody in that suit. Yeah, that was awesome. But that portion of it. But it is that it has like he says, like Peter Falk says, it has something for everybody. Right, you have giants and a love story and pirates and action adventure and intrigue and a revenge story. The Inigo's revenge story throughout the whole thing. I mean, to me, that final when he kills Rugen was like my favorite revenge line ever. Right? He's like, offer me anything I want. He's like, anything you want more. He's like, I want my father back, you son of a bitch. And he just runs them through. Come on, is there a better fuck you line in any movie? I can't think of it, and I've seen a lot of damn movies, but to me, I don't know. It's still. I just said it, and it gave me chills.
No, Mandy Patinkin nails that.
Oh yeah, that hate he brings out in his voice, that vengeance and hate,
level of hate, which is hilarious, right? Because he's been goofy, right, for the entirety of this movie, which really is what makes that moment stand out, because it had almost gotten to the point where we had repeated the "My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." We had heard it so many,
including that one scene where he says it like 10 times.
Right. I mean, we'd heard it so many times that it starts to become funny, and then all of a sudden we meet him. He's there with Count Rugen. Rugen has already stabbed him in various places.
He stabs him in his shoulders so he can't bring his arms up.
Fantastically creepy in this, right? That's so sad, kind of, And then all of a sudden, he just gets up.
Yep.
And the level of rage that Patinkin brings in that moment
Yeah.
Is
first he throws a knife in his gut.
Yeah.
First he got the knife sticking out of his gut. Then he tries to fight him and he stabs him in both shoulders so he can't lift his arms to fight. And he does. And he pulls the knife out. Right. And you feel that, like when he hits that, when he pulls the knife out, like you felt that. Like, it was a brilliant performance of being able to do that. And then like to feel him gain that power to stand back up again and start fighing and to just take him down was impressive. I don't know. Still one of my favorites.
My other favorite fuck you line, by the way, is you are more than welcome to test this at your earliest convenience.
Yes. Yes.
Because, I've got to bring Star Trek back into this somehow.
No, of course. Of course. That's all right. That's Marie Brownhouse from the Trekkers July podcast, everybody.
Right. Yeah. No, but, I mean, that is also like a really phenomenally great fuck you line.
Yes, it is. So now let's talk about Wallace Shawn, which I thought was funny. We were saying that on the trailer. It's like a Wallace Shawn movie. Like, how is this a Wallace Shawn movie? But okay. Is he the big name actor of this?
He's like maybe 20 minutes.
Of the movie, and in the trailer, he's in for about a half a second. He just he laughs and then falls over.
Yeah. So Wallace Shawn, as Vizzini is just inconceivable.
Which is funny because he keeps telling him that he doesn't think he's using the word right, but he actually is. He actually is. He keeps telling him, like, I don't think you keep using that word. I don't think it means what it means. Actually, he's saying it right.
Yeah.
He's using it correctly the whole time.
Oh.
So that was funny.
And then the whole iocane powder business. And the number of colors Wallace Shawn turns over the course of this movie are amazing.
Yes. I love that. That was always. He takes
full advantage both of his stature. He takes full advantage of the sound of his voice. I mean, we get a very, very physical performance out of Wallace Shawn for this. I mean, just everything from how he's moving his hands to like the color. Like, again, the color. I mean, he's literally turning all these different colors. He goes from like white to red to white. I mean, just.
And he just finally falls over. The fall over was funny when he finally just kicks it. And he's laughing, and he stops. He just falls over dead.
It's perfect. And Buttercup's just like, what?
The hell just happened? That was really good. That was really good.
You never go against a Sicilian when death is on
the line. That's pretty true. That's pretty much part rings true. It's just funny to see this, this little Jewish man playing the Italian, the Sicilian, nonetheless. I thought that was a great put through on that. That whole scene though is just a classic, right? When he's changing the goblets and he's, he puts the powder in both cups. You're like, okay, I guess he could build up an immunity to this thing that kills a guy in 3 seconds.
Who knows? I mean, as far as I can tell, like Wesley is literally just a MacGuffin himself.
Yeah. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I mean, he's this farm boy that until he gets so spoilers for an 80s movie, and obviously if you haven't seen this movie, what are you still doing here?
I mean, I think it's a 30-year moratorium. Like, I think we're okay.
Right. Like, if your movie is old enough to drink and possibly have children, then no.
Yeah.
Like, there's no.
It's your fault.
Yeah, right. But like,
listen, I've been busy.
He literally has one line throughout the entirety of the first part of the movie, and then he goes off. He gets kidnapped by the Dread Pirate Roberts. Everybody hears that he's dead, and that's what causes Buttercup to kind of go into this deep depression, and she's not able to get out of it. And apparently, like, while he's on, I mean, he's an enterprising sort, man. Like, this kid is going to be the one that goes on Shark Tank and gets millions of dollars.
Yes.
Right? I mean, he's a real go-getter, is that Wesley?
He really is. Yeah, he basically Jedi mind tricks the pirate into letting him live and to, basically give him his...
good luck.
Yeah, to kill you in the morning. Yeah, so he Jedi mind tricks him to giving him his ship, his boat, and all his pirates, and they go on shore. He
teaches him how to fence.
Yep.
Apparently, this is when he's also building up a resistance to iocane powder, just in the eventuality that he might need to poison somebody.
You never know what tomorrow brings.
I mean, yeah, it's just every single one of these things is like. Just shows up back in the movie. God. Oh, during the the game. You are the Brute Squad.
Yes.
And when they put
I'm on the Brute Squad. You are the Brute Squad.
Yeah. When they put the Holocaust cloak on Andre the Giant. I mean, it's his thought.
Yes.
He's just like, oh, if we only had a Holocaust cloak, that would be something.
I wouldn't give her a Holocaust cloak.
And sure enough, Andre the Giant is like,
he's like, no, we're there, we cannot help you. And he pulls one out. What will this one do? He's
now, do a wheelbarrow. I mean, it's just.
Why did you list that among our assets to begin with in the first place?
You wiggled your finger. Aren't you?
Yeah, that whole scene on top of the tower, like on the, you know what I mean, when they're just the three of them after Miracle Max's, which is an entire.
Which is okay. We can go there now. Like we're 45 minutes in. We can go to Miracle Max now.
Yes.
So Wesley, right? Chris Sarandon's Prince Humperdinck, because y'all, can we have a moment to appreciate the terribleness of that name?
Yes.
So just
sorry to anybody catch your name.
So Prince Humperdinck gets super pissed with Wesley, obviously, because Buttercup's in love with him, and that's inconvenient. And also, he's just a general tool and a sadist.
He's just marrying her to kill her to start the war.
Yeah, right. He doesn't actually care about that, but it would be very inconvenient if this love story gets out and ruins his plans to wage war on Gilder for no apparent reason.
Yes.
So he's in the pit of despair with the albino character. He's being tortured. They're literally sucking out his life. And up top, right, Fezzik and Inigo are lost. They've lost Vizzini because Vizzini's dead, as we just discussed.
But they're trying to fight. He knocks out all three. He takes care of Andre the Giant. He Fezzik. He takes care of Montoya. He takes care of Vizzini. So now they get back up and try to find him. And I love the fact that they're in the village. Yes. And when they jack the machine up to 50 and he's screaming and they can hear him, he's like, his true love is marrying another. Yeah. But no one has a
sound of despair or whatever.
Yeah. I love when he's trying to get to the village. He's like, excuse me, please. And he's like, Fezzik, please. He's like, everybody move. And they all just part ways, like Moses parting the Red Sea. He's like, thank you. And they just walk straight through.
It's just like, what is going on? Yeah. And then, of course, he gets out his miracle sword and he's doing this magic thing.
That was weird, even for me. Like, his father's guiding his sword to find the knot that opens the tree.
And it doesn't work until, he collapses against the tree.
Well, he finds it. It does work in the fact that it pokes the knot, but it's not strong enough to actually push it.
Right.
He's like, fuck it. And he just leans on it, and that was strong enough to push the knot in to open the door.
And so they go down, they find Wesley floppy.
Yeah.
And bring him back up. They take him to
he's only mostly dead.
We're getting there.
All right. Sorry, I didn't jump ahead on you, Marie.
They take him to Miracle Max, who was played by Billy Crystal. And I think 50% of his lines in this, he ad-libbed because it's Billy Crystal. Yeah. And the smart thing to do, there are just certain improv comics that are just amazing and you just let them go.
Yeah, this is the general guide of the story, the general where we want it to go there. Get us
here's
there.
Your start point, here's your finish point. I don't really care how you get there so long as it's funny. And you can do that
because it's going to be Billy Crystal, it's going to be magic, so just get us there.
Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of somebody else that you could do that with.
I mean, back then, those are the guys.
Well, just period.
Yeah.
Could you think of somebody that would have that level of improv skill that you would let that happen to now?
Today, I'm sure there must be, but off the top of my head, no. Not to that level.
The folks
not to that level. They've said it many times, after Robin Williams passed away, you'll never see his like again.
Mm-mm.
You know what I mean?
I'd say the folks who did, the closest I think we're coming are these new sort of comedy shows that, they're not really new, but they've been around for a while, but they're largely improv, right? I want to say maybe 10% is scripted and the rest is just whatever happens. And one of them was The League, Letterkenny, stuff like that. Those guys probably could do that, but it's a very specific type of humor. And I don't know that it would translate nearly as well.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I think it's just magic what they had with Billy Crystal. And then, of course, supported by Carol Kane.
Oh, who is
the incredible.
I my wife, but I'm not sure I want to be that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this podcast is literally turning into us quoting the movie back and forth.
That's okay. That's all right.
Oh no, she talks Miracle Max into coming out of retirement,
Mm-hmm.
and they make
because Prince Humperdinck fired him.
Yes, and
so
he was
lost
very
his confidence. Yes, he lost all his confidence. He didn't think he could do it anymore. I like that little tie back as to why he was not, doing it anymore.
Right, because they actually have to the writing on this is so tight. It's so tight. Because earlier in the movie, you actually get a one-off line where Humperdinck talks about firing him.
Yes. Yep.
So this is, and if you're not paying attention, you're not going to know. But then you get to this point, Miracle Max makes a comment, and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I do remember hearing about that.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, okay. And, then, they make the giant pill of doom that
the walnut. It's a walnut. It's essentially it's a walnut. It looks like a walnut. They're just coating a walnut.
With
chocolate sauce. Well, the chocolate sauce makes it go down easier.
Yeah.
So, as we know.
I assume that was real chocolate. I don't know. They just shove it.
Kind of cool if it was, but they just shove it in his mouth at some point.
He'd have died, right?
Yeah. He would have choked. It was a solid walnut,
right?
Shell and all.
Oh my god!
It can go down easy, but it's so large. You swallow one, it's good. That's your entire esophagus stretched out.
Do you remember the gate key?
Yes.
Every time I see that thing, I'm just like, how is this a key? It just looks like a clamshell.
Yeah.
With bits dangling. I'm like,
yeah, well, that's
into a lock. Like, what are you doing?
Well, weren't the keys dangling off? Weren't there keys dangling off the clamshell?
That was
what kind of held it to his belt or whatever. Yeah.
I don't know, but it was really, it was just like the whole thing was just really bizarre.
So we'll talk more about Miracle Max because that was a whole scene. But back to the gate key, when they have Andre, or Fezzik in the cloak, and he's pretending to be the Dread Pirate Robert's coming up on the gate because now instead of 30 men, there's 60 men or whatever. So he needs to clear them out somehow, and they light him on fire. But the funny part, obviously, you're watching the movie, and it's this guy in the cloak, and then there's nobody in the cloak. The thing that gets lit on fire, you don't see a face anymore. It's just like a scarecrow essentially. Like it was like they took like a broom and stuck the cloak through the broom, and that's it. It's just held up down and light that on fire.
Apparently, the cloak.
But then they cut back and it's Andre kind of on fire.
It's very slimming, ladies and gentlemen, because he loses about
far shot, very slimming, but up close, not so slimming. Because they cut back to like Andre, and it's almost like fake flames from underneath, so it kind of looks like he's on fire. Like that old school, how to make a special effect of somebody on fire without actually lighting this actor on fire.
Well, they had to be super careful because he had so many health problems at that time.
Yeah, he did. He did a lot. He talked about that.
They had to be very, very careful with what they did with him. There was a whole conversation actually about whether or not he could actually do this sequence with Cary Elwes on his back.
Right. When he's doing the whole fight scene, yeah.
And yet somehow he
smacking him up against the rock.
Yeah, I think they actually end up. I think, don't quote me on this, but I think they actually end up rigging Elwes on in sort of like one of those jumpsuit frames or whatever that you would do for flying or whatever.
Right.
So that they could actually like pull some of the weight off so that it wasn't directly on Andre's spine.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, that had to have been just hell. This dude sitting on you. I don't care how big you are, how strong you are. You this dude like sitting on your back like that.
Yeah, right.
And obviously not one take. Yeah, it wasn't like it was in one take. I'm sure they took many takes of him jumping around on his back like that.
No, but I think that had a lot to do with why they're very like. You'll notice as you watch Fezzik do things, like it's very clear that they're being very careful. With Andre the Giant and what they're asking him to do and what he can do and what he can't do.
Right.
And that's pretty fantastic. And it's even better because once you notice that, you can also notice how the other actors are filling around so that you don't notice.
Right.
Which is, I think, for me, I think that's actually the biggest signal that this was a very close group of people, that over the course of making this movie, that they some sort of magic happened.
Yeah.
Because they very much obviously care about each other and they care about how the lines are done and they care about their craft, certainly, but they cared enough, right, to actually help out this other performer. And I think that's huge.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine seeing something like that now.
No, I don't. No, have we seen anything like that?
I don't know. I mean, there's some conversation about some of the more recent that I haven't had a chance to see, Bruce Willis films, where they're all trying to kind of cover for the aphasia that he recently announced.
Yeah, we were just talking. We did a Die Hard episode today, and so we were talking about that. So unfortunate.
Yeah, and aphasia's hard, man.
I mean, for anybody, I'm not just talking about for Bruce Willis, but obviously, we know of him. But for anybody suffering with that is just going to be.
I mean, the closest I can think is actually sort of watching how, if we can bring up the Oscar debacle.
Yeah, we haven't yet on the show, so we might as well.
Right, but we're not actually going to go to the Will Smith for a second, but because what the hell was that?
A lot of bad choices.
But I'm thinking specifically of the interaction between Lady Gaga and Liza Minnelli.
Oh, yes. It was beautiful, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's super beautiful. Like, give it up. I mean, you got to give it up to both. You know what I mean? That was.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Gaga handled that with a tremendous amount of diplomacy, tact, and poise, and respect.
Yeah.
And so I
unlike the other situation that happened.
Yeah.
There was no poise, there was no dignity, and there was zero respect.
No, that was...
It was just a dumpster fire and a train wreck.
Yes.
We're talking about this as just a train that was on fire with dumpsters behind it.
That's literally what it was. Yeah. And I mean, I didn't even manage really to watch the Oscars. And so I was kind of hitting the highlights, and then I get on...
No, honestly, if it wasn't for the Will Smith thing, I would have known it was on. I would have forgot.
Yeah.
And I was popping on, like I was on Facebook or whatever, and I saw somebody posting about it. Like, what the hell? Oh, the Oscars are on.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, the next morning I wake up and it's all over my Facebook wall about, is this real? Was this scripted? And I'm going, what?
Oh, I had that. I think I was talking to Amy about it. Like, it was aggravating to watch how wrong people were getting it. Like, even just the events. Like, did you watch it? Did you see it? Like, oh, he punched him. Like, no, he didn't. He slapped him. Do you not know the difference between a slap and a punch?
No.
He full open-handed whacked him across the face. There's no punch happening.
Makes it worse, I think.
It was kind of that quote-unquote bitch slap. Like, he was just almost, you know what I mean? He wasn't like, it's still not the right answer to come up and whack a guy and punch the guy out, but it almost seems more like I'm defending my wife if I punch you, but slapping was like, I don't know, it was almost more insulting in a way, but I don't know. And he's done that. He's done that before.
I mean, that's a train wreck. And that's not even a train wreck that I cared to rubberneck for.
Yeah, it was just bad. It was just so unnecessary.
Right. And then but then it's counterbalanced by this great moment with, Lady Gaga and Liza Minnelli.
Right, but that didn't get as much play, obviously, well as but it should have.
Yes, I think so. And as problematic as Gaga has been in the past, I really think she deserves a tremendous amount of credit for that, because that could have gone south so fast.
Yes.
And just would have been terrible. But
even if you go back to Chris Rock, even him at the end, even though he made a really hacky joke, it was a stupid joke. It wasn't even funny. But, obviously mistimed and whatever. But even his handling of it afterwards was probably better than I think a lot of people would have handled that. He looked at the producer, he looked off stage, like, what do I do? Okay, just gonna roll with this. All right, let's just keep going. Show must go on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I truly don't know how that would have happened or how I would have handled that. I mean, I'm super glad he didn't, in fact, lunge after Will Smith, because that could have been bad.
Right. Or even just kind of, dude, what the hell? He didn't even really confront him in any way.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, he's like, oh, Will Smith just slapped the shit out of me. Okay, let's move on with the show. Even after Will Smith is just out on the inside, on the outside, just screaming at him.
Mm-hmm.
Just swearing at him at the auctions. At the best part, that's the best of the worst you should have done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Instead of getting up on stage. But anyway. Anywho.
But yeah, I mean, going back to it, we're talking about gentleness and the mutual respect that we really sort of get with all of these actors.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't actually talked about Chris Sarandon yet either.
Oh, let's do it.
Yeah, Humperdinck. Humperdinck is the worst. Humperdinck is terrible. But Chris Sarandon makes him, in addition to being just terrible and awful and sleazy and wretched, makes him competent.
Yes.
Which I like a lot.
I like his.
A lot of films really struggle with villains.
Yes, but he's a strong villain. He knows what he's doing. He has a plan. He's good at it, right? He's accomplished. He's a great hunter. He's he's all these. Even though he's a sleazy douche, but he's still he's really good at what he does.
And then you compare that with Guest Rugen's sleaziness, which is unctuous.
Yeah,
really. He's almost like oozing into every single scene he's in, which is so over the top and yet so delicious at the same time.
But you still feel like you're dirty for listening to
right,
him.
like having shared the space with him on your screen. It's very much that kind. I would not be shocked if there was, if Count Rugen was one of those windowless van kind of folks.
Yes. Like a Heisenberg from Breaking Bad. You gotta kind of feel like you gotta rub yourself down with a chicken. You have to cleanse yourself after having spent any time with this person.
Okay, wait a minute. I've got to scrub literally every layer of skin off.
Where's the doll? Where's the doll? Give me the doll.
Out. Yeah. But it's just. But again, I love the juxtaposition there between two very different kinds of villain.
Yes.
He forgets Rugen is, he is a sadist. He is awful. He gets off on torture, very obviously. Yeah. But he's never going to be the big picture kind of guy. He has to have a Humperdinck.
Yes.
If you will.
But the fact that he's kind of he says it to Humperdinck too, he's like, you don't really want to see what I'm going to do. Right, he's kind of almost protecting him. Like I'm basically gonna go torture this guy, and you don't really want to see it. You really don't want to be.
And then Humperdinck totally does.
Yeah, he wants to, but he doesn't. Yeah, at some point, you know what I mean. But he needs
right
to.
until he gets super mad because Buttercup has the temerity to tell him off.
Right,
because that's what it is. It's not that he's upset because he has feelings for Buttercup. No. It's the fact that she dares. She dares to tell him no.
Yeah. Well, sure. Well, he's been the prince and going to be the king. He's never been told no in his life.
Yeah, but that says something, right, about who he is, and that's part of the reason to juxtapose Humperdinck with the character of Wesley.
Yeah. Because
Wesley is also competent, but his competence is far more hard-won than Humperdinck's.
Sure. Well, one was, silver spoon in the mouth, and the other one's a farm boy.
Yes.
He's had to work his entire life and been the lowest man on the totem pole.
Yes, but also Wesley's goal. Juxtapose the goals too, right? Because Humperdinck wants this war with Gilder, which is going to cause untold amount of suffering because it's war, and it's Humperdinck. Versus Wesley, who just wants Buttercup, who wants to fulfill this grand destiny of love, true love, in fact, on white horses, because of course they are.
Of course they are. Of course. They'll jump down on the white horses. And Andre catches her.
And there are 4 of them. And I thought maybe there would be 4 of us. We got the lady. Hi, lady.
Hello, lady.
Yeah. Because of course they're freaking white horses.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
It's a storybook love. It's a storybook. Absolutely. A fairy tale.
And I think, The Mummy does this. It works. It's a ridiculous film, but it works because it's self-aware. The Princess Bride is also self-aware, and in fact has actually built that self-awareness into the narrative.
Right. That's really the thing. I mean, the whole grandfather talking to the grandson, explaining that this is what this is. That this is this love story, and it's an old school tale of love, and
it's a fairy tale.
Yeah,
it's a fairy tale, and we know we're going to get a happy ending at the end.
Yeah, it doesn't bury the lead at all. You know it. You know it's going to have a happy ending and all that stuff, and it's okay. It's not about the ending so much as the journey. Yes, and of course the kiss heard round the world, if you will.
There have been so many kisses. I don't even remember, but this one blew them all away.
Yeah, this one, the rank's the highest. This blew them all away. That's right. I mean, how silly is that? But so wonderful at the same time.
And yet, you find yourself kind of like the Fred Savage character, rooting for it.
Absolutely,
you want
you
it
do.
to happen. You're like, all right, we've had all of this buildup. We've been in the fire swamp. We have dealt with like the jets of flame that come out of
Yes, the flame spurts and the lightning
quicksand.
the lightning sand, the lightning quicksand. Yeah,
quicksand.
yeah.
Oh, that is the most overacted moment in the entire movie.
Which one? Oh, when it comes out of the lightning sand,
it comes out of there with
yes,
Buttercup.
so they're breathing. They have to breathe the air when they come out. Yes, yes.
It's like, what?
Yeah, I love the fire swamp scene, and I hate the fire swamp scene. It's
All
like
at
to
once.
me, all at once. But to me, it's like in the labyrinth with the fire monsters.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's like the same sort of creepy, eerie. It's almost stuck in this beautiful movie, and it's kind of almost out of place.
And then
in the middle.
Right, and then it's also really bad. Like that one is a particularly bad example of trying to integrate two different types of technology.
Yes, oh,
because you go from flame and puppet to puppets, but like puppets that have been animated almost stop motion.
Yes,
and
they're flipping their heads around and
right, and it's so different.
You could almost see the dudes in like the black jumpsuits behind them that were flipping it, and they just sort of like took them out, but not really, really well. So you could see that.
Right. And it's just like the pacing changes, the tone changes, everything changes, and it's really abrupt, and then it goes away and never comes back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like, all right, fine. I'm good with that. Don't come back.
Yeah, I don't need you back. I'm good. But the fire swamp, to me, kind of the same thing, but you have the whole loquacious talk about him become the Red Pirate Roberts, right? So you needed that in there. It was the way to have
the first thing is exposition,
monologue.
right? I mean, it's something to do while we get this info dump. And there's this very real moment where Buttercup is asking, they're not great lines. They're not. No. They're literally like, so tell me more.
Yes, it's just a way to get him to egg on telling, It's a really contrived conversation.
It's terrible.
Yeah. But you forgive it because it's such a wonderful movie. Like, that's right. Fine. Okay.
And then, like as they're having this conversation, of course, that's when this is the part that I think actually works in the fire swamp, is that they're having this awful, contrived, awkward conversation. Because, to be fair, as characters, Wesley and Buttercup are awful and contrived as well. But they're having this whole conversation, and he periodically just picks her up and moves her like past just a jet of flame that's coming out of nowhere.
So apparently, from what I read too, is that Goldman was on set during that, and he didn't quite realize it. So when her dress caught on fire, he actually started screaming. Her dress is on fire, ruining the take.
I do remember that, right? Yeah. And then there's the whole ROUS and the world's worst makeup. The wound on the shoulder just never quite.
No, because it just looks like they rubbed weird, like sort of ink. You know what I mean, on his shoulder, but there was nothing really that. Yeah, there's nothing that really looked tore up about it.
No, there's no latex prosthetic here. No,
none whatsoever. It's just a completely perfectly smooth shoulder with just some red, ink splattered on it.
And
so where was the bite? You don't really see a bite. So where was the wound? And then, of course,
you don't actually believe that there's a bite that has happened.
Yeah.
Because it's a dude in a rat suit.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, you could see how these little, diminutive person, is running around in this little suit. You can see them walking like legs and, crawling.
And he doesn't have a really great handle on where the jaws are.
Yeah.
Either, so he's just kind of just trying to get somewhere.
Just spraying and praying with the jaws, like hopefully I'll catch something. Yeah. So now take that into 2022. You could have an amazing, Andy Serkis performance.
Yes.
And that would be a lot better. That would have turned out.
Yes.
Even if you didn't do it just a straight up CGI, but you have somebody like Andy Serkis in the mocap suit.
Yeah.
Doing it CGI.
Or the gun guy, like him too, who did Rocket.
Yes, absolutely. So that would have obviously, 2022, that would play a lot different today.
And also we would have a legitimate looking injury.
Yeah.
But I think,
but doesn't it add to the charm?
It does. I was about to say that. Yeah. It actually works with the film because, again, we know that nothing is going to be permanent, that nothing is going to be damaging long term, because the grandfather has reassured us of this periodically throughout this film.
Yeah, she doesn't get eaten at this time.
Right. The screaming eels.
The screaming eels, yeah.
The screaming eel, which also did not look real.
No, at all. This giant, like electric eels looking thing that would just... Oh, and then he punches it, he comes down, and he hits it. Right? You hear this thump when he hits it.
Yeah. But seriously, it's just like these latex eels that somebody off screen is trying to pull around. I think the real danger there was, Robin Wright getting torn up, caught in these things and pulled under.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I remember that the shrieking eels were not in the book.
Were they?
No, it was sharks. Vizzini warns of sharks, and then he drops a cup of his own blood in the water, essentially saying the sharks are now going to be coming around. So
I do remember
you may want to jump the hell back in this boat.
I do remember the book is so much less whimsical.
Yes, it seems to be taken a little bit more serious. You know what I mean? In a way.
I don't know if you ever read Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz.
I may have when I was younger. I don't remember.
And it's a much different experience. Let me tell you right now. It is
than the actual Wizard of Oz movie. Yeah.
It's scarier in a lot of ways. Yeah. And so is this. When you when you pick up the original book and you're just like, what the heck? I mean, because that's part of the appeal of The Princess Bride, is this overwhelming whimsy. Some pretty terrible things go on.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, but overall, it's this heartwarming tale, though.
Yeah, but it never loses that. But it never loses that fairy tale vibe. And there was a rash, I want to say, in the late 90s, early 2000s, where people were remaking all of these fairy tale movies. I'm thinking Van Helsing isn't exactly a fairy tale, but the way they tried to tell it, it was the Brothers Grimm, for example, Snow White and the Huntsman. None of them feel like fairy tales.
No.
At all. None of them do. They actually feel, they feel like slasher fiction.
Yeah, very bleak and dark.
And that is not what's going on with The Princess Bride.
No. What's going on. And I know we've said before, they remake or reboot or remake a lot of movies, and we truly hope they don't redo this one. If they do, and I feel like at some point they probably will, but because everything. But there doesn't need to be. But think of 90% of the reboots or remakes. Those didn't need to happen either.
No.
You know what I mean? And you want this one to be protected.
I think the only reboot that I've really, really enjoyed, or I thought was really solid, was the reboot of Battlestar Galactica, because it took it in such a different direction. That they're very different properties, and they're still exploring some of the same concepts, but the reboot just went over here, and you could just enjoy them as separate phenomena.
Yeah.
I'm going to be interested in seeing how the Babylon 5 reboot gets done. I know that Straczynski is actually part of that process, so that gives me some hope. But that's another thing that's another show I don't think I would have tapped for remaking either.
Right. It's just kind of they almost feel like they're running out of shit to do, so they just got to keep rebooting stuff. You know what I mean? Instead of coming up with
we don't need that to
stuff.
happen.
No, and for this movie, definitely doesn't need to.
It's okay, Hollywood. You can do something new. We will still go see it.
Yeah.
Promise.
Well, I think that's their big. I was talking. We had this discussion with Bruno one time. It was the same thing, and we were kind of arguing back and forth as we do. It's about the money, and it's almost it's easier to remake a known property that you've already made money off. You figure you're going to make money versus something brand new. Right.
This is the DC paradigm, right? Because every time we have a massive failure, we're going to go back and do a Batman movie.
Yeah.
because we know that people will go see this.
But even taking it back to the comics, right? It's easier to retell new Superman stories, new Batman, than create a brand new character and get people behind it. Think of even some of the newer characters. Like, how many new characters have hit the level of a Spider-Man, a Superman, a Batman? You know what I mean? Anybody from, let's say, even the 80s, but let's say the 90s on, right? I mean, Spawn obviously had a huge following, but even today, the Spawn following is not the same as a Spider-Man, a Superman, a Batman. You know what I mean?
No.
I mean, how many Spawn movies? There was one Spawn movie in an animated series, and that's it.
And the animated series was fantastic, but that's because
it really was. Yeah, but it was, but that's it. Like, you're not going to keep getting that over and over again. The movie wasn't really great at all. But so that's my point. Like, it's easier just, screw it. We want to make some money. Let's make another Batman movie because everybody will go see that.
And I don't disagree. I really don't. But at the same time.
But it is frustrating.
Yeah, like at the same time, there are things that I would willingly patronize. Like if you started something new, if we went in a very different, or, like, it's okay. It is okay to find a new property.
Yeah, I think it's just fear based. Yeah, it's bank account based, which is fear based. You know what I mean? We need to fill up. We need to keep that bank account full. How do we do that with something new? We know we can do it with something rebooted, something old.
I mean, I get it.
Right? Probably
It's,
that concept brings some money.
I mean, it
so
is a
do
risk.
We take that chance? Yeah,
it is a risk.
Yeah,
but
sometimes the risk pays off, and sometimes it just doesn't.
But there are other franchises that do that. I mean, not franchises per se necessarily, but there are other films that are created from whole cloth. I'm thinking like Knives Out. Knives Out was an amazing piece of fiction and an amazing story, and God love Chris Evans. He carried that and did, and then of course like Daniel Craig. And I will fight anybody that talks about how terrible his accent is, because he's actually doing something very particular with that. Are you waiting for me to tell you? Is that
No. I've only seen it once, so I have seen it. It's not ringing like 100% on my head.
So Daniel Craig is Benoit Blanc, and he has this ridiculous sounding accent, and he got a lot of flack about it. Everybody's saying you're just doing this caricaturized Southern accent, and the thing about it is he's not. He's actually doing a really fabulous upper crust Delta accent from the 40s and 50s.
So super specialized, like super like niche. Like not a lot of people are gonna pick that up. I wouldn't.
Apparently, what Daniel Craig did is he went on the internet because he's trying to figure out how this guy's supposed to sound, and he ends up Googling the South. I don't know, but Shelby Foote comes on. Shelby Foote was a native Mississippian, I believe, and he wrote extensively on the Civil War, and he has that ridiculous accent. I mean, Craig is almost beat for beat perfect with that, and what it's doing is
it's so specialized. How many people are going to really understand that?
Yeah, but it's even better because when you know that this is a very specific kind of upper crust, like obnoxious person accent, and you put that in the movie, it's so much better.
Yes, agreed. But what's the percentage of the audience who's going to be able to pick that up?
Yeah, which is literally why everybody's just like, his accent's ridiculous. Yeah. Nobody sounds like that. It's terrible. And it's true, right? Nobody sounds like that anymore.
Right.
I mean, I think the closest we come these days was that sort of racist Keebler elf that was the attorney general in Alabama.
Yes. That was a good pull. Yes.
I have real feelings about him.
You think?
You couldn't tell.
Yeah, I think so. That was awesome. All right.
But tell me that that's an inaccurate character.
Oh no, it's perfect. That's why I said it's a good pull. It's actually perfect. It's absolutely perfect. I think you're right. Wow. That was awesome. I like the Keebler elf imagery is the best part. That was really good.
He was terrible. And I have so many friends from Alabama who were like, we swear to God, we did not. I'm going, I know.
We don't know who hired him. We don't know who voted. Nobody voted for him. He just showed up one day.
I say this as somebody whose native state actually voted for Marjorie Taylor Greene. So
it's kind of like The Office when Andy went away and like Catherine Tate like just took over, just sat down in the chair. Like, I'm manager now. And they're like, no, you're not. It's like, yes, I am. They're like, yes, you are. That's fine.
Right. Just like, how did this happen?
The actual mayor went to the bathroom and he sat down and said, yeah, I found an empty chair. I'll do this.
I have the chair. It's kind of like I have the special hat, or I have the conch. I'm in charge because I have the conch. No, go away. Stop. Yeah. Just stop. I didn't mean for that to get political, but
no, it's okay. That's fine. So, all right, Princess Bride. Let's see. We're wrapping it up here. We're at an hour and 20. I have got to go get my son at some point. I gotta go. He's at my parents' house.
You knew this was going to happen when you put me at the end.
I know, and that's okay. I'm glad. Which is why I'm glad it's just the two of us today.
Right.
But the whole rest of the group abandoned me, which is fine. They were here for a long day of podcast.
Yeah, like mad props to them.
Mad props. We got a lot of stuff in the bank now to post up.
Yeah, I don't know how you could do this because when we were putting together the First Contact thing, it was doom, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
I was so exhausted by the end of it.
Yeah. It's 5:30 here. I've been going since about 10:30 this morning.
Yeah.
And I'm still going to do another one tonight with my wife. As we saw Freestyle Love Supreme, and I can't wait to talk about it with her.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. I'm looking
forward to it. It's going to be incredible. It was an incredible, a little preview. It was an incredible show. We saw it the last night in Boston, and I knew nothing about it going in, and it just blew my socks off. It was so much fun. So much fun. So I would totally go see it again because the whole thing's improv. So when you go see it again, it's going to be a very different.
I can't remember the last time I did, did anything like that. It certainly was pre-COVID, but
what did we see? So we saw the first theater thing we went back out to see. We saw Scrooge, A Christmas Carol. Mm-hmm. at the North Shore Music Theater in Beverly, Massachusetts, and so that was the first theater anything we had done since COVID started. So it was nice it's been nice to get back, and this is the second thing. it wasn't like we've done a string of them. That was back in December, and here we are.
It was big, there, my friend.
Yeah, we actually have like 3 or 4 more this year. Like Amy bought like a pack of like 4 different shows. So we're gonna go see Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, nice.
Kinky Boots, and one other I can't remember I forget what it was, but she
Kinky
bought.
Boots is such a fun show.
I know what it's about. I've just never seen it. So they made a movie about it too.
I saw the film version with Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yeah, I never saw the film version either. I just, for whatever reason, just never got a chance to see it. Not that I didn't want to or anything like that. I just never did.
Yeah, but it's gonna be a fun show.
Yeah, the show should be fun. I love Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a blast. So it's nice to be able to bring. So we're not just doing movies and TV. We get to bring some theater into the podcast.
Hey, look at you being all fancy and educated.
Yeah, get my theater on. I'm a highfalutin theater stuff going. Gotta put on my good duds and get to the theater. I
got to tell you, I have been outclassed.
Right? Gotta put on my good hair and get to the theater.
Sorry, Marge, I gotta get my pearls.
Lord Almighty, let me put on my good hair.
Just don't eat any barbecue. Just gotta say. No. Secrets and sauce.
We went to the Metropolis in Boston as well for dinner. Just amazing. Small little place. It's sort of a group, one of those that a group that owns a bunch of different restaurants. And I had the rigatoni. Amy had like the shrimp mushroom risotto, or I don't know if it had like sausage in her, but it was one of those meals where like I'm a pretty quick eater. Like I eat pretty lightning fast. I don't know why. So I was never in prison, so I don't really understand why I eat like I'm in prison. Just like really quickly and don't touch my food. Get the visual.
Did you have a large family, maybe?
No, it was just my brother and I. Like mostly my parents, obviously. My brother wasn't really like the type to like take all the food or anything like that. I just don't know why. I just kind of gravitated towards that. Marco. It is kind of weird. So, but this meal was like you had to eat it slowly. Like it was so immensely packed with flavor. Like every bite, you had to wait for all the flavor in stages to hit you every time you take a bite. It was crazy. Like we both of our dishes were like, wow, we're really eating this slowly. I've never eaten this slowly in my life. It was incredible. It was a great night. So, COVID obviously still going on to a certain degree, but it was nice to be able to get back out amongst the people.
There was a place like that here in town, and it was fantastic, right? It was fantastic. They made their own pasta, like ground their own sausage, and you could tell.
Yeah.
It was very artisanal. And then they sold it. And when that changed, all of a sudden, you could taste that this was not fresh pasta. You could taste it was prepackaged. And, it was just really depressing because this was one of those, like.
The biggest part is, you're right. It is, because I've had that before, and I don't understand the idea behind the company that buys them. You bought this place for a reason. It's obviously making money. Usually, you don't want to buy a dying business, do you? Right? It's a lot of work to bring it back up because it's already got a bad name. So unless it's completely closed and you take over the space, but if you're buying a specific brand or company, there's a reason you're buying it. Let them do what they do. There's a reason they're that popular.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, because they make the homemade pasta. You change all that. Do you think people are not going to notice? You lower the quality and then raise the price. Of course, that's traditional. Mm-hmm. Like, that's typical. Like, are you just trying to kill it off? Do you just need a write-off? Is that why you bought it?
And what was crazy is that was really the only super good Italian place in town. Yeah. Right. The other one is Buca di Beppo.
God bless you. What?
Uh-huh.
Bless you.
Yeah. Which I'm sure is lovely.
Yeah. I mean, obviously we're in Boston, so we're,
yeah,
you can't throw a shoe.
I mean, out here it's not so much that way, right? I mean, there's no green chili in Italian food generally.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't throw a shoe around here without hitting a good Italian restaurant. It's pretty incredible. So if you like that kind of food, this is the place.
Actually heading. My husband's heading out there possibly sometime in May, and I'm gonna hate him a little bit for it.
Just take a lot of Instagram photos. Sit there eating some good Italian food. Yeah, that'll be awesome. Awesome. All right. So, any final words on The Princess Bride? How many mics do you give it? What's your?
This is one of the top 10 movies, right? I mean, this is one that you go back to. I own the Blu-ray. I watch it, once a month. I mean, not that you couldn't possibly tell that, right? At all.
No, just because we can quote the whole movie from beginning to end and backwards again.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it takes me back to one of those places where everything is somehow simpler and more straightforward. I think this is kind of why I've gotten back into Lego recently.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that you're doing Lego, so that's pretty awesome. Yeah, I do from time to time too.
It's a real problem now. Like I have no place to put them. Like I've got a ship in a bottle and the bonsai over here, and I've got the Capitol building to start. But the appeal is this, right? Everything fits. All of the pieces fit.
Yeah.
And all I have to do is follow the directions, and it's remarkably relaxing. And The Princess Bride is kind of like that. There are a lot of different
kind of paint by numbers
that they've pulled from all kinds of other films and franchises and story tropes. Mm-hmm. And I know where they're going to go. They've already told me that they're going to take it here, but they make it fun along the way. And so I'm very willing, very, very willing to go on that journey with them.
Yeah, and it comes across with how much fun they had making the movie, and I think that makes a difference. Yeah, because it is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a fun, exciting ride. And if everybody's on screen and they said, like when Elwes was at the theater, when I saw him at the Wilbur, he talked about how much the crew had fun. Right, the cast obviously had a blast. So like everybody was having it, and so everybody's firing on all cylinders because they're just enjoying the shit out of what they're doing.
Right,
and that'll always come across in the final product.
Any Jared Leto film where there's this just underlying course of tension.
Yes, which apparently must have happened on Morbius because I haven't seen really great. I had a friend who saw it. He said, "Yeah, not really worth it. Like it was okay, but not super great."
Morbius.
Yeah, no, I will see it just because I have a podcast and I'll probably talk about it, but I will not see it in the theaters. I'll probably wait till it comes on streaming to bother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's theater, theaters are more expensive now, obviously, especially after COVID. It's really, you got to pick and choose.
You do. And my next one I think is going to be the Batman.
Yeah, I saw that and it was amazing. And so my next one will be like Multiverse of Madness or something. You know what I mean? Something
all right,
like that.
So I should go see this. It's not gonna make me mad.
It's not. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's
about Batman. So
I do, and I'm like I said, I'm the world's biggest Batman fan since I was knee high to a grasshopper, and I enjoyed this movie for what it was. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to enjoy it after having watched the trailers. I'm still not 100% sold on Pattinson's Batman, but I liked
100% sold on the hairstyle they gave Pattinson for this. And
yeah, he just needs to find a good barber for the second one. He needs a good barber for the second one, and which he may do because this is year 2, and the arc he goes through in this movie. So I'm not going to give it away, but the arc he goes through from where he starts to where he ends, he's different, right? Mm-hmm. He understands where his failings were with what his mission is and why he's doing this mission. So that's the arc he kind of goes throughout the whole movie, and it takes 3 hours to get there, but he does get there. So I feel like by the second one, we'll get a different version of at least his Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. And a slightly different version of his Batman, but definitely a different version of his Bruce Wayne. Because in this movie, his Batman and Bruce Wayne are so interconnected, it's almost the same person. And they shouldn't be. Right? You're supposed to have a separation of who Bruce Wayne is and who Batman is because you need to have the public persona of Bruce Wayne and then Batman. But his Bruce Wayne is so dark and shitty and, pissed off, just like Batman is. So, you know what I mean? So it's like, there's a point in the movie where he says the same line to guys as Batman, and then like literally the next day he goes back and says the same line as Bruce Wayne.
Right. So he's
same exact thing to them.
Great at the whole secret identity thing.
Right. He sucks at this. Year 2, he's not super great at the secret identity. And I was saying to Bruno, like, I'm still, I've had this discussion before about the whole white slits on the eyes. It still bothers me. So I watched Moon Knight, and he's got the white slits, and it works perfectly. Now, there's glowing because he's magical, and you don't have to necessarily have it glow. But I saw, like, the thing online where, like, somebody's like, all right, commissioners lit the bat signal. I got to get Okay, hold on. I got to put on my makeup now. I got to put on my eyeliner. I got to put my shade on. I got to put my mask on. Hold on. Let me get some more of the shoe polish and put it around my eye. Am I good? Did I miss anything? Did I miss it? Al, did I miss a spot? Okay, give me the cowl. Let's
nobody ever thinks about this, but clearly Batman must have in his utility kit like some makeup wipes.
Well, because you kind of see it happening. Like, you almost see him, like, because he takes that off the mask. So, like, unlike the Michael Keaton Batman Returns, when he rips the mask away to reveal himself to Selina and the makeup's gone, like, he pulls off this cowl and it's there. There's kind of a scene where he's, getting ready. I mean, just needs the mirror with the light bulbs around. Like, okay, I'm good. I'm ready for my close-up. You know what I mean? Like, fuck are you doing? Get the mask on and let's go. Or just put some white slits over the eyes and you won't have to goddamn deal with it. Which is where his Batman has been since day 1. But that's my biggest gripe. But other than that, the movie is fun. I definitely recommend going to see it. It is good. It's a lot of fun.
Okay.
By the time this podcast comes out, hopefully everybody's seen it. And by then it's probably going to be on streaming because it's only 45 days, they said. I think it was like from the day that I think something like that. It's going to be out. It might even maybe it's from when they sort of leaves the theater. I don't remember, but it wasn't going to be out or off streaming very long. It's going to be on streaming pretty quick.
Warner Brothers streams to HBO, right? HBO Max.
Yes, yeah, it'll be on HBO Max pretty quickly, which is good because I'm not going to go sit 3 hours again in the theater to see it, but I do want to see it again.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to see it again. It is definitely it's for me. It's better than the Nolan stuff. It's better than the Snyderverse movies, but I still like Ben Affleck's Batman better. If you take Ben Affleck and his Batman out of those movies and stick him in a better movie, I would like it better than this movie.
We talked about this before. I really would have liked to have seen Batfleck, and we don't really get that opportunity in any of the Snyderverse movies.
No, and we probably won't in the Flash much. He'll be in it, but I'm sure not very much. Not to get a full. I want a full movie of just his Batman.
I have real thoughts about the Flash too, but it is an hour 30. And you have to go pick up Christian.
And I have a lot of reservations about Ezra Miller because he's turning out to be more of a douche than he was before.
That's exactly where I was going to go.
Oh, yeah. He's a tool bag. Him and the guy who plays Homelander from The Boys.
Yes.
Good Lord, these people need to pull their shit together. Do you realize you have a career where you stop screwing up your own career? You know how many people would kill and give their left arm to have the career you have, to be pulling in the bank you have, and you're acting like a douche because you can't hold it together, and you're basically going to rip yourself with a career or damage it to some certain degree anyway.
I mean, again, like if you're having neurotransmitter problems, store-bought is fine.
Yeah, that's right.
Store-bought is fine, my dude.
Just get some over the counter. You're fine. You're good. You're all set. Damn it. Ugh. All right, Marie. Thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Always.
Tell everybody where they can find you.
Trekker's Delight on YouTube, Facebook, Anchor, anywhere you can find a podcast. We are there.
Yes, definitely subscribe, and when they have, let yourself know when the new one's coming out. And occasionally you'll see me mixing up trouble in the comments. And every once in a while on the show. Screen. And on the screen. Every once in a while, if I'm not on screen, I'm in the comments mixing it up. Confusing the shit out of everybody. What is he talking about now? Which I was right, by the way. Last time was it when he's like, "What the hell is he talking about?" I was like, when I said it was inconceivable. You keep using that word. I was doing the Princess Bride quote because you guys kept talking about a word. I don't know what the hell you were talking about. You kept,
right.
I think it was you
when I made the Holocaust cloak.
Yes. No, I was on. I left from when I jumped on. I stayed till the end. I might have just missed it because I was probably writing my own shit. So I'm writing my own. I'm too busy writing my own shit. So yeah, I made that reference, and he's like, "What are you talking about?" Like, because you just said a word, which is the inherent problem when you're typing and you're writing. You guys are like 10 minutes ahead or 10 minutes past when I wrote it. Then they finally go, there was a comment. Let me show you. Well, that was 10 minutes ago. It was relevant 10 minutes ago. It's not relevant now. You're not going to remember what the hell you said.
I've gotten to the point where I leave the comments on because I know it's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. You drive online. It's coming. Just be prepared. All right, Marie. Thank you so much. We will talk to you soon. Everybody, this is Entertainment Rants at entertainmentrants.com. You can find us anywhere you find your favorite podcast. You can also find us online in your favorite social media at Entertainment Rants. Please drop us a line at engageentertainmentrants.com. Let us know what you want us to rant about. We do not promise we will stay on the subject the entire time. There will be a lot of tangents. Marie and I are working on our current tagline right now. What did we settle on last? Entertainment Rants? We tangent because you don't have to. There was a whole bunch. You had some really good ones, Marie.
Right. Well, I mean, there was the one about your therapist couch, which we decided was funny, but like we weren't going to go with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even remember. I'm gonna have to pull them up.
You have to pull them up. We're changing more often than you do when you're on your therapist couch. That's right. Rambling through pop culture since 2021.
Yep.
We're mostly on topic, mostly. We change it so you don't have to. I love it. Fantastic. All right, Marie, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for listening. We are Entertainment Rants. You go out there and keep ranting.